I've been in quarantine because of the COVID virus. Man, that's like being locked in prison, especially with my two younger brothers. Our house isn't big enough for all of us at one time. No wonder my dad worked such long hours.
Gee, it couldn't be because he's a doctor at the hospital, is it? I think all the docs and nurses are working really long hours right now.
That may be so, but why do you suppose he calls Mom and asks her if the coast is clear and are the kids in bed yet? Nah, I think the four walls are closing in on him too. But you are right, he is needed a lot at the hospital.
News reports term medical staff as essential workers. That means they work no matter what, and people like that are heroes because they give us so much of their time to help others.
I never thought of my dad as a hero, but he is definitely essential to me. Where would my allowance come from if he wasn't around? And who would put gas in the car and give Mom money for groceries? Maybe I ought to get him a cape and tights and call him Super Dad.
I'm not sure your dad would look that good in tights, but there are other essential workers too, such as those in grocery stores, transportation, farmers, all sorts of occupations. Our church recently called an exterminator out to get rid of some pesky bugs coming in. I'd call that pretty essential. Who wants creepy crawlers around?
Seriously? Bug killers essential? How can they be essential? I can understand farmers, doctors, nurses, and grocery stores as necessary, but a guy who steps on bugs? Not really.
Well, consider this. There are all kinds of bugs that can make people sick. Many carry diseases, others sting or they bite. Some people are highly allergic to these things. Preventing the bugs help keep people out of the hospitals and lessens the load for doctors and nurses.
Yeah, I can see that. And without transporting food and stuff, our grocery shelves would be empty and we would all starve.
And without farmers, there would be no crops to harvest, no food to transport, and no cattle for markets. And without pest control, insects would eat crops before they get harvested. And when that bug guy came, he explained some of the bugs were being drawn at night by our lighted cross in the foyer.
Wow, that's weird. I didn't know they could see that well. I wonder if they have seeing eye dogs for blind insects. I've heard of being blind as a bat, but blind as a bug? About essential people. What about preachers? I think they are pretty important too. So why did they have to quit preaching on Sundays?
They are essential. Especially a lot of people were nervous about being in a crowd at church, and since pastors are concerned for the welfare of their flocks, many decided to not hold services. Some even limited how many could attend and how far apart they had to be.
So the preachers were out of jobs, right?
Wrong. It's not like they were grounded. Many pastors streamed their services. They still attended to the needs of church members by calling, emailing, texting, and even visiting from a distance. Plus, they still prepared sermons because they knew the quarantine wouldn't last forever.
Sort of always on call, huh? Gee, I wonder what would happen if I called our pastor at 3 in the morning. Whew, that'd be a hoot. I bet he wouldn't sound as alerted as he does at 11 when he's preaching. Although sometimes I'm not very alert when he preaches. Pews need to have snooze alarms to keep us awake.
Michael, don't you dare call him up at 3 a.m. unless there's an emergency. That's not even funny. He has enough on his plate with the COVID issue without putting up with your foolishness. Just think about that.
You'd be surprised at what I think about.
Surprised or scared?
Think about this one. If you turn the word COVID around, you would have Davok. And that sounds like a baddie on Doctor Who. I'm Davok 19, Doctor. I will exterminate you, exterminate you, exterminate you.
Your villain sort of stutters, doesn't he?
All the villains on Doctor Who talk and sound weird. That's what makes it fun to watch. Okay, that and the cheesy special effects.
Speaking of cheesy, don't you think it's time to move along? I mean, make like an insect and buzz off?
Wait, I just had a thought. I think being a bug man would be so cool. I mean, imagine being able to pronounce judgment and then make it happen with my unstoppable ray beam.
You might not like all the schooling they have to go through to be licensed, but he had also told the church secretary that there was a lesson to be learned from bugs coming in at night to the lit cross. Even bugs know to come to the light of the cross.
Man, I would hate to be in his shoes. Think about this. Imagine waking up every day knowing you're going to have to prove you're smarter than a cockroach.
Well, if he comes to the light, he can prove he is at least the smartest one.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.